Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to the episode of my F1 2019 mod career mode here, driving as Charles Leclerc in his Ferrari for round number 21 and the finale of this season at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. If you guys did miss the previous one, the Brazilian GP, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one, because that set up what is now quite a thrilling finale there, as there's now only 4 points covering the top 3 drivers in the championship there. Lewis Hamilton leads the way with 304, then you've got Sebastian Vettel with 301, and then myself as Leclerc with 300. So uber close. You know, the last 4 or 5 episodes, Vettel's come out of nowhere to come back into this season, come back into this fight, and of course myself and Hamilton have had the scrap the entire way through this season, but it now comes down to this one final round at the Abu Dhabi GP, and it should be a pretty damn good one. The race is always quite chaotic because you just never know what strategy-wise people are going to do. Potential for a 1-stop v the 2-stop maybe. Traffic is always quite an issue here at Yas Marina. You know, obviously it can play in your favour and it can massively hinder you, and of course last time out we had a bit of controversy with a bit of traffic of ourselves. Albon effectively helped me up, and I think that's what lost me the race at Brazil. So hoping that we don't get any of that, and it's a clean, straight fight between myself, Vettel, and Hamilton. But we're going to get straight into qualifying then, the last time we do this one-shot quali for this 2019 mod season here. And you can see into turn 1, looking pretty good actually. A little bit scruffy on the exit and going wide a tad. So that loses us down to P5 actually on the exit. I was P1 and then split second down to P5. So that small mistake apparently has cost me a huge margin, so I think it's massively close here at Yas Marina, which is really nice to see. But over the bump as we go through the middle part of this section, then in the chicane up into P3 momentarily, down to P4, now kind of battling P4 and P3 positions to go under the hotel. Vettel seems to be in control once again for another good pole position. We're wrestling the car through and tapping the wall as well in third place through the second last corner to the last. We get up into P2 just about through the last corner, gonna hold on to it, can't quite get pole position, but it is second place to lock out the front row for Ferrari there. And what a strong statement that is to end off the season for Ferrari. You know, we only just got the Constructors' title lead in the standings last episode, and now we've got a front row lockout here for the final round. Vettel on pole though for the 4th time in a row, and then myself in P2 as Leclerc. Then you got all second row of Mercedes, Hamilton in 3rd place, Bottas 4th, then Gasly and Verstappen, Carlos Sainz, Hülkenberg, Lando Norris and Kimi Räikkönen round out the top 10. Then you got all row of Haas, then Ricciardo in P13 with Sergio Perez P14, Lance Stroll P15 alongside Kvyat then, and Giovinazzi and Albon share a second last row, and the last row for the last time, surprise surprise, the 2 Williams cars of Robert Kubica and George Russell. Right, so here we go then. It comes down to this on the grid of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix for the finale of this 2019 mod career mode season here, alongside Vettel and Hamilton just behind us in P3. Strategy will be a 2-stop. The hype is to suit us of ultras because of the tyre wear for this season obviously being the default setting from the game. I think a lot of people will be doing the 2-stop, unlike maybe other career modes in previous seasons where maybe the 1-stop is very much possible. But I think a lot of us top 10 guys will be doing this 2-stop, so I think it will be a straight fight, and it will probably be a lot of, you know, hopeful traffic management and trying to get through traffic once we've made those earlier pit stops compared to the midfield guys. But let's get into this then. It's been a long 2019 mod career season. We've been up and down with who's been in the lead of the championship between myself and Hamilton, and Vettel has come back in so late to make this a very interesting 3-way fight. But it's finally time to decide it here. It's time to go to 5 red lights for the final time in this 2019 mod career mode here. Fire lights are out and we're underway for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. It's a good start from us, but a solid one from Sebastian Vettel into turn 1, just about down the inside there. Vettel leaves us some space, and so we're going to be neck and neck into the next left-hander, nearly flat out usually in qualifying, and we just give each other inches of room. Vettel backs out that though quite nicely for us, and we're up into 1st place. Vettel P2, I think it's Hamilton still in P3, but I think actually the other Mercedes car is being attacked by the Red Bull, so you never know. We'll have to get an update on that. I think actually from here, I think that 3rd place actually might be Valtteri Bottas. I think Hamilton might have actually bottled that start quite a fair bit, and he might be fighting a Red Bull for P4 just about. But as we go down the main back straight then, Vettel in the slipstream, of course, no DRS, but slipstream's good enough here around here that we have to go defensive to the inside. He's pulled alongside us there, and he's got the nose in. We're going to switch back move on him there. We've made some contact though with the Mercedes car off Bottas, so Bottas is in 3rd. Hamilton has indeed absolutely had a terrible start, and he's down to P4, so that's not going to be great for his championship. But here we come back at Vettel then on the inside line as the end of sector 2. We're going to have to squeeze him out quite harshly there, but give him the room on the right as well at the same time, but trying to be as harsh as we possibly can to our teammate, essentially. And we do get back up into P1, but the switchback didn't really work exactly as I wanted it to then, because Bottas stuck his nose in, but in the end it did work eventually. And again, Vettel comes knocking on the outside of lap number 2 this time we're on the outside. We maintain the outside line in that chicane as we go down the kind of a feeder series straight, if you will, and Vettel has just pulled through into P1. We're going to tuck back into the slipstream though and come back for a move. Bottas also moving about quite a fair bit in the brake zone. Vettel with a lock up, and we lock up as well, and that could have been some really bad contact there. Vettel maintains the lead though, unfortunately then for me, and we maintain P2, but at least no contact was made, because that could have been quite bad, because that was quite a late lock up for Vettel. And so the last thing we want in this finale is for one of us to suffer a bit of damage so early on in the GP. Meanwhile now, as we go on to the next lap, as we're through lap 3, and it's Hamilton v Bottas now for P3. Hamilton looking to get ahead, of course, because he needs to try and get in some clean air to chase after us two Ferraris who are right now dominating this Abu Dhabi GP. But Bottas is really not being an aid to Hamilton at all. He really overtakes him for P3 then. So I don't know what Mercedes are playing at, why there aren't any team orders at a place like, at a time like this in the season where you've only got one car in the championship fight. I'm surprised there's no team orders, but there you go. But we're going to continue the fight then with Vettel as we set a purple lap time there, trying to match him, and we move on to lap 5 then. DRS open, and we're gaining quite rapidly, and this time I think we'll be able to get him. Couldn't quite do it on the previous lap, lap 4, where we actually set that purple time, but now to the inside here, going to try and pinch him, and then it's that textbook switchback at Abu Dhabi, the Nico Rosberg from 2016 on the outside line on the right. DRS open again, second bite of the cherry, and we'll fly past him with overtake mode on the ERS as well, and Rich Mix flowing on lap number 5, cutting across, and we're up into P1, and order is resumed, and we're going to come in on the very next lap, lap number 6, for our first pit stop then. So a little bit earlier than Vettel, he continues on for one more lap, so we're hoping the undercut can work, but this is the first worrying stage of the race really, because I need to hope I can come out into some decent clean air. It's pretty much impossible to Abu Dhabi, unfortunately, it seems like all the time, but some sort of clean air, and then hopefully I don't get held up too much by trying to overtake some of the mid-field cars who are still going on perhaps ultras from the very start of the Grand Prix. After we drift through under the underpass, obviously one of the most unique pit exits in the world for Formula 1 tracks. But here we go now, catching up to Alexander Albon. Surprise, surprise, the man who completely blocked me and probably lost me the Brazilian Grand Prix. We overtake him down the inside with ease that time round, but I say with ease actually, that was quite a tough overtake, because that's a very unusual place to make a pass, especially on the modern F1 games. Probably in the past it was quite an easy place for the AI, but definitely a harder one these days on these modern F1 games, and so we make it work. And now we're going to make a move on Ricciardo, who's going very slow indeed, and so he held us up for a few corners there, so that was quite unfortunate. But Vettel's already pit, and he's already come out behind me, so that's not actually a worry now. It's really just a case of making sure we can get through these cars without any issues, any damage, trying to effectively also put some hurdles between myself and Vettel, and try and see how quickly he can get through them versus myself as we get through around the outside of Sergio Perez. Almost got blocked in by the Haas, but now we're going to try and overtake that Haas down the inside of that right-hander. So close, and Magnussen now bottles it and locks up on the front right there after getting under pressure from myself there, but that was so close to being put into the barrier by Magnussen on that right-hander, the one just before the one I made the overtake on Albon for. So that could have been quite nasty as we now sling through the last two corners there. Norris will come in. It's almost like he knew I was coming, and now we go across the line, other people in the pit lane, including the Red Bull Verstappen, and we're up into P1 once again of this Grand Prix. So it will be a 1-2 again for Ferrari. Nothing's changed there, and it's still a 3-4 for Mercedes, but which way round will it be? Because this is Hamilton again attacking Bottas there on the outside. Bottas holds the better line though to the inside, and he maintains that P3. Meanwhile, still P5 and 6 for Red Bull, and P7 so far for, I think that's pretty sure, Carlos Sainz in the McLaren, doing a great job once again. But now second time lucky, or third time overall in this race for Hamilton. It looks like he might have just got it there to the inside of the chicane. He's going to try and waltz away now, but Bottas did try and close back up in this similar sort of position on the previous lap here. And so here he goes. Bottas, he's got the lead on the outside for P3, but Hamilton with a late break there. We can't quite see it from this nose cam, but I assume he's got that now because he's cut back to the racing line. And yep, that is Hamilton finally into P3 for good, it would seem like there. And so maybe now Hamilton's championship bout can really start here with some clean air to chase after us two Ferrari cars who are still fighting hammer and tong. Vettel with a late break on the outside. outside again. We're going to have to do this switchback move for the third time now at Abu Dhabi. It really is my favourite move at Yas Marina, it would seem, as well. On the right-hand side, DRS again open, and we're just soaking up this pressure. You know, this is exactly what you want to see in a finale race like this. Soaking up the pressure, controlling the race from the front, the position we need, of course, to beat Vettel and Hamilton today. And so far, so good. Every single time Vettel's tried to attack us, even earlier on in the race, where he got us for a good 2 laps, we eventually came back and did re-overtake him here. And now he's just trying, you know, on the same lap, we're re-overtaking him. You know, he gets ahead for like a split second and then get that back through. So that's exactly what we need from us today. And obviously Hamilton being kind of out of the fight in a way is helping out massively as well. So we make that second pit stop now of the night onto all soft tyres once again, and we'll go out. We stretch that second stint a little bit longer to make sure we're comfy on this last stint. Then Vettel continues on for one more lap, but we come out in P4, so pretty good amount of clean air. The only man I'm going to have to overtake probably is Daniel Ricciardo here, but even that is going to be a little bit nerve-wracking. So we have DRS available, we've got some ERS to play with as well, and fuel, which I've been saving quite a fair bit of. And so on lap 18 here, going to make a crucial overtake, real late dive bomb on the man who knows one or two things about late dive bombs, and we're up into P3 then. But actually, I forgot to note that the entire race thus far is we have saved a lot of fuel. We've still got over a lap of fuel to play around with, because unlike previous races where maybe I've been burning it so fast in the opening stages, I made sure to make a conscious effort to save that fuel in case we had to try and fight at the end, because I know historically at Abu Dhabi I've not been the best personally at my tyre wear around Yas Marina, especially towards the end of the race. So many times I've kind of started to fall off the cliff a little bit with tyres, and so I wanted to make sure we had fuel to actually play around with to try and defend in a position just like this. Lap 22 this is, 6 laps to go in this Grand Prix then, and the pressure really hasn't ramped up that much. Vettel's still there, still keeping us honest, but we're you know pushing all the right buttons, you know, activating ERS, you know, fuel burning whenever we need to make sure that gap stays ahead. So Vettel's still within 1 second range of us with DRS, but we're just, you know, keeping it ticking over. And whilst that's happened, Hamilton has been trying to catch us a little bit, and the gap is closing there. So maybe we might get a frosty 3-way fight right at the end of this race. That could be quite something, but we'll have to see how it goes, because lap 23, it's all staying put, and it's the same thing again. Vettel tries to close up with DRS. This time he's a bit closer, to be fair to him there, and so he might just gain a little bit. We're going to place our car tactically in the middle of the circuit there, make it awkward for him, and Vettel has a bit of a jolt there, and I think audibly, I think he might have tapped us in the rear end as he tried to make a late lunge, but didn't decide whether to go left or right of me, so that was a bit of an odd thing. As we move on then later into that race, so this is 2 laps later, Hamilton is now in DRS range of Vettel, so he's really closed up quite rapidly there. So in clean air, Hamilton has been unleashed, and he's now on the outside of Vettel, and he's locked up very harshly on the front left, but he's made it work still, and he's up into P2. Vettel's lost some pace there. I wonder if he maybe has some damage potentially from that little clang he made on my rear end on lap 23 potentially. But on lap 27 then, the second last lap of the Grand Prix, Hamilton is the one pressurising me. So it's myself, Hamilton second place, Vettel third. So at least you still got the top 3 drivers in the standings in the top 3 of this race. You love to see it, but Hamilton is now the one pressurising me, which is surprising considering the entire race so far he's been kind of under pressure and not as fast as his teammate. But now obviously he's got the pace up, and he's now got about 1 1/3 lap left to try and pressurise me. But like I said, so far I've been feeling pretty damn confident. You know, I've felt like I've been in control of this race. I've saved so much fuel to the point where I can play around with it. I can equally try and boost up this engine on the straight. And so it's just about trying to keep a calm head now on the last lap of the Grand Prix and do the opposite of essentially what maybe happened at Brazil, where we kind of felt the pressure from Vettel on the last lap of the Grand Prix with Albon. As we now go through to the end of the back straight to the chicane one last time here. Hamilton is in the mirrors, so he's within 1 second. He's got DRS available. We've only got maybe a quarter of ERS left to play around with. That should be enough for us, and we've got a little bit of fuel left in the tank here. Rich mix going, hot lap mode the entire time, and Hamilton just can't close up to us, and so we swing through the double left-hander under the hotel section. It's been a very intense season, especially the second half of the season has been so mega, so many fights. It's been a season-long battle for the 2019 Mod Career Championship. We're going to come through the last corner to win the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix and win the 2019 Drivers' Championship.
That's a race win. You've really been great today.
Great effort there from Ferrari to take the victory today. And I have to wonder, Anthony Davidson, just what set them apart from the competition here?
Well, I think the track conditions just really suited their car today. Wind, track temperature, you name it. These cars come alive when the tyres are just at the right temperature. So the more easily you can keep them there, the better your race tends to go. And that's exactly what happened. Their car just looks so comfortable out there.
So here they come now, out onto the podium. Wherever you go, anywhere in the world, the prancing horse flags are dominant in the grandstands, and they're out in force again today. It's Ferrari on the top step once more.
And so as we see the cutscenes here, spraying the champagne at the top step of Yas Marina. Remember, it's not also just the win in the Drivers' Championship, it's also the Constructors' Champions. Ferrari, we've come out on top, myself and Vettel. You know, Vettel came on so strong at the end, like I've said, and he was a real aid, because actually, you know, halfway through that season, I was kind of slagging him off, saying he wasn't doing enough for the championship, and that's why Ferrari was second place to Mercedes, but he really pulled up his socks. He's come out real strong at the end here. Unfortunate of the way this last race ended with him. I think he did get some damage by clanking my rear end, but he's only got himself to blame, of course, because he was the one deciding where to go, left or right. I just placed my car in the middle there. I'm obliged to do so, and then it was a bit unfortunate for him. Hamilton, though, he did well to recover up into second place, but in the end, like I said, we had things under control and just kept things nice and cool, and we got that first place that we needed to try and beat Vettel and Hamilton to the Drivers' Championship. It's been a mega season, though, guys. A lot of fun racing, and I hope we get a lot of that kind of racing in the proper F1 2019 game, which is so close to coming out there. So guys, if you did enjoy this episode, nay, the entire mod season, then be sure to smash that like button. Let me know your thought in the comments below. If you are new around here, do subscribe for weekly full-on content. I've been aarava, hope you enjoyed today, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.